Morning guys, on Micah chapter 1, reading from verse 5 to verse 8. Verse 5, and all this is for the rebellion of Jacob and for the sins of the house of Israel. What is the rebellion of Jacob? You ask the question. Is it not Samaria? What is the high place of Judah? Is it not Jerusalem? And Samaria was the capital of the northern kingdom of those 10 tribes. Jerusalem, the capital of the southern kingdom of the 2 tribes. Micah, mainly a prophet called to the south, but the whole of Israel is ultimately turns away from God. First, the 10 tribes, they get taken out by the Syrians, and so they're both under the judgment. Verse 6, for I will make Samaria a heap of ruins in the open country, planting places for a vineyard. I will pour her stones down into the valley, and will lay bare her foundations. And it's interesting that judgment came with many kings coming against them, besieging the city. At least 3 times that city was besieged. It was eventually taken out, and then it was restored by King Herod. And it's interesting that Jesus says to his disciples when he sends them out, he says, don't go to the place of the Samaritans. They would have come from Samaria. And today it's not really much of a city. It says in verse 7, all her idols will be smashed, and all her earnings will be burnt with fire. And all her images I will make desolate, for she collected them from a harlot's earnings, and to the earnings of a harlot they will return. Israelites turned to foreign gods. They set up idols under high places and trees, and so that was often referred to as harlotry, because they turned away from serving God. In Isaiah 37, regarding the king of Assyria who takes out Samaria, it says, truly, O Lord, the king of Assyria have laid waste all of the nations and their lands, and have cast their gods into the fire, just like Micah said it would happen. For they were no gods, but the work of man's hands, wood and stone. Therefore they were destroyed. And so all their gods were destroyed by the king of Assyria. Verse 8, because of this I must lament and wail. I must go barefoot and naked. I must make a lament like the jackals, and a mourning like the ostriches. And so the prophet saying it's a terrible place, terrible time, and it's hard for the Lord when he sees us turn away from him, embrace other idols, embrace things and not worship him alone. And he uses these illustrations of jackals, and if you can imagine them howling at night. If any of you have heard of a jackal call at night, just that wailing. I haven't heard an ostrich call, but apparently they have this low sort of frequency moan. But other commentators say this is probably referring to the mourning of the owls at night. But that wailing for the sin of Israel, as God, even now, he pleads to all of us to turn back to him. Make sure you've got no idols that you're worshipping. And for us today, it could come in the sense of materialism. It comes in many different forms, especially at Christmas time when our eyes are turned elsewhere. And so God is calling us to worship him and him alone. Amen.